this meeting of the Leominster School Committee on Monday, October 7th. We're at Samoset School, so if everyone can please, there's one on either side. Stand and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to read the Leominster School Committee statement. The committee represents the needs of all Leominster Public School students and places their interests above all others. We will exercise leadership, adhere to our protocols, and base our decision upon a reasoned assessment of all available information. We will advocate for each of our schools and support high-quality public education in Leominster. Having said that, we'll move to the open forum. If anybody would like to address the committee, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please. If anybody would like to address the committee, please step forward during the forum. And one last final time, if anybody would like to address the committee, please step forward. Having no one in the audience coming forward, we'll close that portion of our meeting, and we will move on to communications. Superintendent?
We have two. Our first is a letter from MASC, that's the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. On November 8th, Ms. Sue Kohler is being honored. On behalf of the MASC Board of Directors, I am writing to congratulate you on having been nominated for life membership in MASC. This honor recognizes your involvement in and commitment to the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, as well as your impassioned advocacy for children of Leominster. Through years of service as a member to the district's school committee. So, congratulations.
That's awesome.
A similar letter for Ms. Claire Frieda, who is on our city council, for her advocacy for students through the school committee as well as on the city council. So both of them will be honored on November 8th down at the Cape. So congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations.
To both of them. Great news. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Okay, superintendent's report.
Okay, this evening, Matt, can you help me out?
You got it.
Thank you. I'm very excited tonight to put forth the draft of the strategic plan, the long-term strategic plan. I want to say this has been a labor of love. It's been many, many months since the springtime. We have had community forums where we have not only teachers and students, school committee members, city council, business members contribute in a protocol called Back to the Future, where we asked members of each forum to project out where they'd like to see our schools, say 5 years from now. What would it sound like? What would it look like? What would students be doing? And over those forums, we collected, we cut our own trees down, the paperwork that came back. And we were able, through no less than at least 2 dozen meetings since, to construct this one-page overview, which is on our website already. We will also have it in Spanish and Portuguese. We are looking for feedback, for comment, because our commitment in making sure that this document is understandable, because this is the pathway for all decision-making moving forward. Our mission, we have taken this to heart. It's about every child, every classroom, every single day. And it's through the lens of 3, what we're calling levers. In education, we have all sorts of acronyms and speakies. We're looking at levers as the way to move student achievement. And the first one is about equity and access. Do all of our students have fair equity and access to curriculum, opportunity? And if they don't, how do we make that happen? The second one is a re-examination of all our academic programming. Is this what's going to work for the children of Leominster? We look at our data, and this is coming at the perfect time for us. We look at our data, and we're always compared to a state average. And we sit there and we skirt that line all the time. And we don't want to be average anymore. We want to be exceptional. And so the last lever that we recognize is that we need to encompass the growth, not just of our students, but of all of our staff to support students. So if we can be vulnerable and say, this is what I need to understand in order to move those levers, because all of this work together, the goal is that student achievement is going to skyrocket in Leominster Public Schools. So my hope is that every employee can say, I'm proud to be an employee of Leominster Public Schools because I will commit to equity, programming, and growth every single day for every single child in every single classroom. So it does say draft. We would love some feedback before we bring it for a vote to the school committee. There's a website right on the front page. Send us a message. If you don't understand something or it's not clear, then we have to go back to the writing team because we want to use this and not have it put on the shelf. So we're very proud. I want to thank everybody as part of the team. The whole district leadership is here this evening. They have had input. We've been living this document. It's now the commitment to the public to have their input. We told the working teams that before anything was approved, that we would show them first. So this is our forum to do that. So please take an opportunity to review it and get back to us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Perfect. And do we have a student report by chance?
As a matter of fact,
Awesome.
we have two,
Great.
and they look the same.
Congratulations.
Come on up, guys.
You have to read.
Gentlemen, can you just introduce yourselves to everyone?
Or take a mic off.
Huh?
No, he's fine.
You do what? You good. Do I need to use it?
Yes.
Yeah, just speak loud.
You're on TV.
Okay. So first off, so I'd like to introduce myself. So I'm Keegan Casey, and I'm his twin brother, Connor Casey, and we do look somewhat alike if you haven't figured that one out yet. So we're both seniors at Leominster High School, and today we'll be doing the student report for Leominster High School and CTEI. So Leominster High School has a great opening so far. We're 29 days into school. MCAS results are going out to students and families. Last Friday, we have completed our first Alice drill. We hope that such a situation will never have to be used. But in that standpoint, if it had to be used, students will be ready because we practiced last Friday. Progress reports went out last week, and students are a little bit more than halfway through term 1 of their school year. Clubs are up and running. For example, we had Stump meet with Superintendent Deacon to discuss club fees and the entire process surrounding that. SATs were administered last week at Leominster High School, and PSATs are going to be administered this weekend. And athletics are off to a great start. There was a great crowd last week at Doyle Field for boys soccer, and we tied St. John's 1-1. It was a number 1 seed versus number 2 seed, so that was really great to see our soccer team tie them. And then also we have girls field hockey, so they held a pink night to bring awareness to Breast Cancer Awareness Month as we are in the month of October. And they also dedicated the Mary Beth Brow bench at Doyle Field. And there's a video of this on the website.
Continuing that report, we got girls volleyball also held a pink night last week, and that was to raise awareness and raise money for a local family. Homecoming is approaching, so we have a homecoming dance on Friday, October 18th, and it's going to be a day full of games at Doyle on the 19th. The marching band competed at a festival on Saturday afternoon at Gardner High School and performed very, very well and represented Leominster High School. Now on to a couple of individual honors. So Juan Alejandro and Alicia Nelson represented Leominster High School at the Congress of Future Medical Leaders this past summer in Boston. So they're being recognized by this organization. Gabriel Hazelrig and Jasina Larios are in the health occupations and CTEI at Leominster. And recently in one of their classes, a student actually unfortunately had a seizure, but luckily for that student, these two young girls went into action before the nurse and the administration arrived on the scene to ensure the young man was safe. So they're being recognized for this honor. And finally, Connor and Keegan Casey, which we are.
Third person?
We're honored at the Harvard Breakfast Prize Book and at the Harvard Club of Boston last week. And they were also interviewed by Antoinette and Toniel from Channel 5 for part of their A+ program. And this feature has not aired yet, but it will be airing in the future. And that concludes the student report at Leominster High School.
And CTEI.
He's older?
He's only about 8 minutes, yes.
8 minutes?
It's hard.
No, you don't know. Oh, that's great. We look forward to seeing you on well-deserved again.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Exciting.
guys.
And congratulations to everyone else who was honored. So we've got some very talented students, for sure.
I have just a quick question. Any of the areas that we have athletic activities, do we have defibrillators everywhere? And they're all up to date?
Yes.
If there are any missing, let us know.
Yes.
Okay. Doyle Field,
Yes.
it's so huge, I don't know how many there are, I think there's just one, but yeah, it's a big area, so we might want to look at it. Another one.
We have a few travel ones as well. Yep.
Great, thank you. All right, so moving on, we have the Samoset presentation. So if you'd like to step forward.
Let's start. Principal.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just gonna let Mr. Oliver take care of that for us. Give us 2 seconds. Is the mic not? Now the mic's on.
Makes a big difference.
Eileen, I've told superintendent, I'm between 3 meetings tonight, so I may have to go back to the planning board. I'll wait. They may not be-
You want the Google Chrome?
Yeah, another one. Thank you.
Yep, that's it. Mouse isn't working? Can you hit present?
Top right.
Top right. Nope.
No, too far.
Down there.
There we go.
Nice work, Mr. Rowe. All right. I just want to mention real quick that 1 and 2 in the senior class at Leominster High this year are Samoset alums. Congratulations, gentlemen. Just an FYI. So welcome to Samoset. This is just a brief presentation and overview of what's happening at the school this year. We've had a lot of great energy to start in the first month, but we are really holding to our tenets, which are our Wildcats Care, which is civil, achieve, respectful, and encourage. So here's some highlights from our first month. We started out this year as a group, coming up with some strategic goals for our faculty, for our kids. As you know, with the MCAS system, they are focusing on absenteeism, and for our small little school of 516 kids, it was a tad bit high. So we are attacking that as we speak, reaching out to some of our members in the community, Fallbrook especially, who has done a lot of great work, reducing that number with our guidance, our Dean of Students, Mr. Ricker, and our parent liaison, really focusing on our almost, meaning they're just about at that line by the year, as the year goes on, of that magic number of 18 absences. They're close, so we want to make sure they stay in school to keep our numbers continuing to decrease. We have really focused on a personalized learning initiative throughout the school. We are getting soon team photos to put throughout the walls. One thing I noticed when I got here this year is that it's a wonderful community, but there's not a lot of opportunity to see who's here throughout the building. So we're getting some photos coming in for the team areas. We're going to put a wall of fame up as you walk in, which is in the process of being constructed. We're also constantly looking at our MCAS and MAP data to target some particular skill development of our kids. We also looked at our content teachers and making sure that they had adequate time to plan together. The way our schedule works is that the teams have prep together, the individual pods. So we want to make sure that our ELA, our math, our science, and our history teachers are all working together in concert. So a lot of our building time this year is focused around developing rigorous lessons, skill development in the content area, and we're continuing to do that each time we meet. And finally, I'm a big person for parties. I love celebrating. I love my birthday, and I want to make sure that we, throughout the building, everything, whether it's silly, whether it's academic, athletic, extracurricular, we're going to celebrate it and broadcast it. And we've got our birthday wall outside in the hallway. Every day I announce whose birthday it is, so we get some recognition. Some kids may be going home and they're not getting that. So we want to make sure that everyone's recognized every day. Mr. Smith, who runs our ISS room, does our Gotcha program. So we look for random acts of kindness throughout the day, and we have assemblies every quarter. You'll see a picture of that coming up. And finally, our Samoset Stars Breakfast, which are students who represent our core tenets of CARE. That's our first one, civility, and that's coming up in a couple weeks. So here we go. Just some quick highlights, like I mentioned. We are making sure that our students believe in the work we're doing. The learning skills in this school are addressing critical thinking. The instruction is consistently student-centered, and there are deep mastery level assessments. And this is from all levels, from our life skills up to our LEAP classes throughout the first month or so. I really enjoyed the fourth picture there from the left. That's our STEM class, and they were testing their bridges, and I got to watch them explode as they put more and more weight on there. It was a lot of fun. They loved it too. The kids had a great time. So this year, for the first ever time, there's a field hockey team, Skyview, Samoset, combined team, and the girls in their very first game won at Doyle Field back in September. They're playing a really tough schedule, and they're hanging in. I think they've won 3 games so far. They tied a very tough Bromfield team and lost to Shrewsbury, who's consistently very good, and Algonquin 2-0. Close games. So the girls are doing wonderful. Our cross-country teams are crushing it. Boys and girls have 1 loss between them through the 5 meets. And we just wrapped up our student council elections on Friday, and we're really excited for our student assembly, our team this year. As you can see on the left, on the very left there, we have an administrator who is a giant Steelers fan, and the Steelers played the Pats the first weekend of the season, so we made sure we had a nice little fun with that. We had Patriots Day, and Mr. Oliver was such a good sport to wear his Steelers jersey, and as you can see, our students and staff are quite vocal with their displeasure for that. We also have some new hoops that we were able to purchase with the help of Creative Choices for our blacktop, so the kids are really enjoying that when they get outside. Those are getting used all the time. I love the picture of the 2 students working together. That young man is a newcomer from Vietnam, and this young lady immediately went to him in class and volunteered to help him with his work. Phenomenal young lady, Kayla Jakubiak. I want to make sure I mention her tonight. 7th grader, really took the time to work with him with Da, and he's fitting in wonderfully. And finally, as I mentioned with the collaboration in climate, that top right picture is our pineapple chart. Pineapple in the Hawaiian culture means welcome, and it's a way to have some really easy, free professional development. Teachers put a lesson on that chart, what they want to showcase to their fellow colleagues. People write down if they want to go see it. They take a ticket, they go watch the lesson, and post some feedback on the board in our conference room. So collaboration, consistent feedback across the board. And finally, just as a close, we've got a lot of stuff happening, and I did hear Mr. Mayor, you'd like a list of that. We'll be happy to get a list of events coming up. We'll send that out. Our Stars Breakfast is in a couple weeks. We are doing, with our Spanish curriculum this year, our teacher, Ms. Marengo, has kids working on Day of the Dead, and they're going to do a presentation with the Spanish American Club here on November 1st. We have our Lunch with a Veteran. The Sky Sam flag football game is coming up, and we are planning our first annual Samoset Thanksgiving feast for some of our families here in the community on the 21st. And finally, a little plug, and I know Mr. Dubzinski, the principal of Leominster High, cannot wait to buy multiple passes. We are holding a raffle that we were able to get for no cost. There are passes to Disney World, there are Park Harbor passes, and all the money is going to hopefully sponsor some of our students for our grade level field trips, as well as do some other things in the building. So this is just a quick rundown of what's happening in Cat Country in the first month. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more slide. I can't believe I forgot Sabrina. October is Rett Awareness Month. Sabrina is one of our young ladies in the life skills program. She has Rett syndrome, as you can see. Essentially what it's described as is children are trapped in their body. They can't express what they want to say. They may make noises or some kind of sudden movements, but they're trying to communicate. And they are working, they're getting closer and closer to a cure for Rett syndrome. She's with us. She is a wonderful young lady, and the life skills group, as well as the school, is going to be wearing purple on October 25th in support of Sabrina. And we've had our kids are great. They're always happy to see her when she's in the hallways with the life skills group. So I put that in our parent email on Friday to make sure that all of our kids are aware of our young lady that we have here. And that's it. Any questions?
Actually, just a quick one. So the first slide, first thing you had was the attendance to reduce it from 10 to 7%. Yes. So for me, it's helpful to get sort of the idea of what your goals are, 3 to 5 core goals for you, and ones that are measurable, because I'm never afraid. I mean, if sometimes people don't come in on it, they get afraid. They're like, well, what if I don't come in and there's not an improvement by 5% of something? People panic. Not the case at all, but I think the only way everybody's sort of pushing in the same direction is to be able to measure it later on. And then the school year goes by, we might not see you for another 8 months or
That
6.
long?
Yeah, could be. Before we're back here.
Yep.
And then we have a bunch of things that are, before us. Anything you could send us that would put us all sort of on the same page. Just things, again, nobody's going to come back here at the end of the year and say, hey, you missed it by 2. But it's helpful to see where you're at, what you thought you could achieve, and what was achievable, measurable goals that no one's going to come back and hold you accountable for.
And that's a great point. I had the same conversation with my teachers when they set their own student learning and professional goals. That, set a goal. If you don't make it, it's great. But if you're showing progress, if you're working towards it, then that's it right there.
But I mean, even your attendance, you started off saying, you wanted to reduce it. You knew that. You wanted to get it down, and you did. And I'm sure you want to get it down, and then it gets harder when you get closer. Then you're down to 0.5%. But anything you can give us, for the committee that is sort of separate from maybe what you told the superintendent is helpful to us, so that we know we're pushing in the same direction. So we can help you celebrate having those parties.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
I would like to know why Ronnie's on our side tonight.
Because Christine wanted to stare at him.
Huh, Ronnie?
The equipment was over here, and I have to keep an eye on it.
Those are all good. Those are,
reasons.
No matter where I sit. Goodness
I
gracious.
say things up a little bit.
I feel the wisdom.
All right, moving on. We have MCAS results overview.
Yes, Mrs. Cipolla. So we've actually been dealing and diving into this data since July. We had the raw embargoed data. It has just come out, and reports are going home to parents, the individual student reports at the end of this week. But we have been breaking this down, and something that you talked about just now about the attendance piece. You'll see that was a district goal. Every principal had that as one of their goals, and it seemed to pay off for us last year.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to ask for the opportunity to speak to the public as well. This accountability system that we're involved in this year, as you know, this is only the second year of the system, and we want to make sure that we're all on the same page as to what we're being measured by. So the students, our teachers, our schools in our district have a new system, and it has many moving pieces. Just a moment. So the accountability system has been put in place to support us in determining what our schools need to do to improve, and then what we, as the district administration level, would be doing to help those schools, and also then your purview being the finance and the policies that we would be putting in place to support the schools in the district to move forward. As I mentioned last year, and I just would like the opportunity to speak to them again, there are a number of components to this new accountability system. The first one being achievement, and we're all pretty familiar with that being our MCAS results. So students in grades 3 through 8, and then are taking tests every single year in ELA and mathematics. Our 10th graders are then taking ELA and mathematics. Then we have science for students who are in grades 5, 8, and 9. So there are lots of assessments that are taking place starting in March through the end of the school year for grades 3 through 10. Another component is the student progress or growth. So a growth percentile. That measures our students individually based on where they start the year, and they're compared with the students who started in the very same place on their MCAS. We get an overall percentile for our school and for the district in ELA and mathematics, but that's based on individual growth by the year on our MCAS. Another accountability indicator is high school completion. They measure it both as a 4-year completion and also as an extended rate, so that students who may not have completed everything they need to, but our high school CTEI and LCE make sure to get them back, to get them to finish their graduation requirements. It may take some students a 5th year to do that. So we get an opportunity to be measured for 4 years and then also for a 5th year if students need that. The progress towards our English proficiency for all of our English learners. The state has determined that we give each child who's an English learner 6 years to get themselves to proficiency, and every child is measured on their growth each year for those 6 years. So they have a target to attain proficiency by the end of their 6th year. Each school, and also the district as a whole, then gets an accountability point system for those students at each grade level. And that's not just 3 through 10, that's our students in grades 1 through 12. Chronic absenteeism has been mentioned. Chronic absenteeism is any child who misses more than 10% of their time here each year. So if they're with us all year, it's 18 days. If they're with us less than that, students who come and go, then we have to monitor them because it's less than 18 days. And then there's another piece called advanced coursework completion. That's the number of our juniors and seniors who take part in higher level coursework, including AP, some advanced mathematics. All of our students who are at CTEI who are involved in a co-op program receive this points towards their advanced coursework. And then we have dual enrollment, and the high school is starting down the road of early college. So we receive points for all of the students who take part in those academically enriched courses. The state then decides to give us a classification for both districts and for schools, and it's based on all of those points and quite an extensive mathematic formula with weighting and points for each of those indicators for our aggregate and also for the lowest 25% of the students in each school. And then we get a rating. So each school and the district gets a rating. And we're celebrating. Everybody celebrate. The district received a rating this year of making substantial progress towards their targets based on this accountability system. So we're all very, very proud of the hard work that's been done by the students, the teachers, administrators as well. Just a little bit more specifics, and I promised I wouldn't go down that rabbit hole too much tonight, but because this has been a 2-year system, you see the district in 2018 received a percentage of 47. And that was based again on the formula using all of those indicators. For the 2019 school year, we bumped that up significantly to 60%. What the state does is not a year by year. They take points for the 2 years, and I believe next year there will be some points for 18, 19, and 20. And they're weighted appropriately. So we had a result in 18, they weighted that 40%. They weighted our result in 19, 60%, and we now have a cumulative percentage of 55% for the district. And that put us well within the range for the substantial progress towards our targets.
Can you, so what is the 60 and the 40, I mean, what is it, out of what?
So,
100%?
correct. So they took the two, and the 47% from 2018, they took 40% of that score, and then they took 60% of our most current year, and that math together gave us an overall rating for this year of 55%.
Right, no, I
Now,
understood
next
that.
year, I believe
But
it.
that's not 100%.
Right. Next year, there will be a smaller percentage weight for the 18, 19, and then the 20. It might be a 20, 30, 50, but don't hold me to those actual weights.
They won't add them all up and then divide it into 3, right?
No,
So-
no. So the most current year is weighted the most heavily. And just to give you the school level determinations or classifications, again, we're celebrating. We have an exceeding target determination for Francis Drake Elementary School for the 2nd year. Yes. Fallbrook Elementary has joined them in that category. 2 of our schools are the same as the district, at substantial progress toward their targets. Those are the Center for Technical Education Innovation and Johnny Appleseed Elementary. And then you'll notice we have 4 schools that are making moderate progress. So all of our schools are making progress. The moderate progress is Leominster High School, Northwest, Samoset, and Skyview. You will notice that there are a few of our schools that are not listed here. Their numbers, if they have a small number or if they don't include grade levels that are tested, they are suppressed. So we do not have an accountability determination for Pre-Street, for Lincoln School, and for our Leominster Center for Excellence because they have a small cadre of students. A couple of highlights that are at the district level. Chronic absenteeism. This has been a focus for all of our schools for this past year, and the reporting from the state has shown that we exceeded our target for all of our grades 3 through 8, and we met our target at the high school, which is a grade 10 target. So we've done very well for chronic absenteeism. Science achievement across all of the grade spans that are actually tested, which include 5, 8, and 9, as I mentioned, met target. So we're lucky. We do have teachers who are paying very close attention to science. At our elementary schools, we have science at each grade level. Pre-Street and our early childhood centers have time every single week for science, and this is paying off as we see at our upper grades. For ELA and mathematics, we have met our target for grade 10, and our annual dropout rate continues to exceed target, and that's at our high school and CTEI. The progress toward attaining that proficiency for our Ls was exceeded at our grade 9 through 12 span. So there are some great highlights that we see at all of our schools across the district. Paula, is there anything you wanted to?
I'm so proud of this team and the students and the family. We're seeing not only sustainability, but growth. We're moving in the right direction. And that's just compliments to this team and the work that we continue to do. At this point, we have identified areas that we want to work on, and some buildings are very specific around some areas, but we will be having a district-wide writing goal that I'll be bringing forth at the next meeting for us all to work on and lift the needle together. So congratulations to everybody.
Well done.
Very well done.
Anybody else have any questions for Maureen? Thank you very much.
Great,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Great job.
So moving right along, we're going to do the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion
I'd
to
like to make a
approve?
motion to approve the minutes September 19th, 2019.
Do I have a second? Right, thank you, Ron. Any omissions, errors, comments? Nona?
Just a comment that, that I think would be helpful in the minutes is if we put questions that are brought up here, such as, you know, to get answers back from groups that have presented something and we question it, the question to be written in the minutes so we can follow up to see, to make sure that we get an answer to it, such as the HR report. Last time we did get that, and the questions I asked about the SIMS data. I think those questions should have been in the minutes. So it would explain why we got,
But I don't remember.
yeah. That would be
Anybody?
all.
Sure. Anything else? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries. Finance Committee, did you vote?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Finance Subcommittee minutes of June 27th, 2019.
Second.
Any comments, omissions, errors? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. We're moving on to subcommittee reports. Finance Subcommittee.
Yes, Finance met today. We have some warrants to approve.
Perfect.
Is that the rest of the vote?
It's,
Ready for the warrant?
I know, it seems like it.
Okay, warrant one for $83,813. Warrant two for $47,198.68. Warrant three for $359,431.09. Warrant four for $40,966.37. Warrant five for $350,938.21. Warrant six for $8,887.03. Warrant seven for $435,989.31. Warrant eight for $35,259.76. Warrant nine for $2,071,323.92. And then under grants and revolving funds, warrant one for $256,664.45. Warrant two for $126,962.40. Warrant three for $176,200.14. Warrant four for $172,889.80. Warrant five for $176,448.33. Warrant six for $96,014.47. Warrant seven for $182,717.65. Warrant eight for $16,786.41. Warrant nine for $232,572.97. Warrant 10, this is addition, warrant 10 of the grants and revolving is $28,988.02. Warrant 11, $288,425.07. Warrant 12 for $9,052.73. Warrant 13 for $173,042.01. Going back to the other account, warrant 10 for $151,975.34. Warrant 11, $2,045,992.73. Warrant 12 for $108,532.66. Warrant 13 for $2,090,321.88.
All right, so we have a first and a second. Any comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Good job, Nona, that was a mouthful.
Would you repeat that? Madam Chairman, I have to go to that planning board
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Back as soon as I can.
All right, thank you. You may want to text just to make sure we're still
Yes.
here to figure out how long you're going to be.
I saw the agenda.
Okay,
No, I don't have one.
okay, perfect. Mike, is there anything else to report from the subcommittee meeting?
We have some action items coming up. We discussed several things. We talked about the budget, but that's an item coming up. And some requests. Yeah, I guess we do need to talk about some things. So we had a request in front of us to use revolving funds. Request for money from the rental revolving fund to purchase auditorium equipment. I have two different copies of this one. There we go. So a request for $8,478.73 to be spent from the rental revolving account to purchase equipment and lights for the high school auditorium. That was approved by finance, so I'd make a motion that we approve that. That is money being spent on what the rental revolving account is for.
Do we have a second? Cody, any thoughts or comments from anyone? All those in favor? Motion, anybody opposed? Motion carries.
We also had a request to use Kendall Trust Fund money from that revolving account to pay for Edgenuity for the high school. We had a carefully worded motion. Would you nominate? Would you like to repeat what you said?
I made a motion that this will be a one-time approval of this request, since it's been done in the past, and was to be included in their budget, and that going forward, it will be included in their budget,
When you say their budget, you mean the school department's budget?
the high school's budget.
The school's budget, okay, just trying to clarify when you say. Thank you.
And I'll second.
Okay, any thoughts, comments, questions? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, we also had, apparently we need to ask, the city received a $30,000 reimbursement for McKinney-Vento transportation for last year, which came on June 26th. Is that what you said, Glenn? Yeah, so we apparently need to formally request that the city appropriate that to us so we can pay into our transportation account to pay transportation bills. So finance was in favor of that, and I would move that we request $30,000 from McKinney-Vento be appropriated to us.
Okay, do we have a second? Any questions? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Chris, you'll prepare a request. Thank you. For the appropriation for Glenn, whoever does it. Thank you very much. Anything else?
That was it, other than the budget, which is
Okay, which
coming up,
we'll
but
do.
we have policy in between.
Okay, great. Isabel, any policy?
Nothing new for policy other than what's coming up in the agenda for action items.
And I know I sent a request that we do need to just, even though we have sort of a broad policy, we need to specifically, I think, mention vaping.
Right.
And the policies around that. So we'll do that at our next meeting.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, moving on to action items. So this is the budget.
Yes, so what we have in front of us, as you know, in June we passed a budget request. Now we have the responsibility to pass a revised budget that matches current appropriations, such as they are. There was some back and forth. This time we also had a carefully worded motion on this one, which Sue, would you like to repeat what you said last time?
Sure. Okay, we made a motion to approve. Do you want me to read it? Sure. Nona made a motion to approve a revised operating budget of $49,931,000 in salaries, which represents $116,076, which is more than what we budgeted.
It was just $116, not $116,000.
Yes, sorry.
I got really excited.
Yeah.
And expenditures, $22,068,963.98, which represents $2,742,543.32 less than the budget the school committee approved.
So we're spending less money there and $100 more, $116 more on salaries, is that accurate?
Right,
If I
but this is
understand it,
just
that's
to
a
support
budget.
Munis.
Yeah.
It's, and then in your email, in your presentation, it says is gonna come out of school choice
And circuit breaker,
and circuit.
And circuit breaker.
which was the plan. This is less than the money we asked for. Business office has a requirement that they must put into Munis numbers that match what has actually been appropriated to us. So the motion is not to say that this is okay, but simply to approve operating numbers based on the amount appropriated, so we can have financial reports going forward that show how much we've spent out of what we actually have. There were 2 appropriations that the mayor sent to City Council in June that were approved and ordered and have not been given to the school department so far. The $400,000 advance we have not received, and the, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, 176,000 something for the E-rate reimbursement. Those have been approved. We have not received them. So
do we have a sense of when we will be receiving them? Because shouldn't we have received them
we should have
already?
Yes. There seems to be some disagreement about that.
Who's making the disagreement?
It's coming from I believe the comptroller agrees that we are due that money, but it seems that for some reason it's not happening so far. I don't want to try to speak for them.
Sure. So do we have a formal request for them to release that money that they have already voted on us for us?
I think that'd be an excellent motion right after we approve the numbers we have. We should ask for what's actually due us.
Okay. So your carefully worded motion, we will take first.
I'll
So,
second.
all right, any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? All right, it's approved. There's nobody to oppose. Would you like to then make a motion around the budget itself?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we request that City Hall release to the school department the 2 appropriations from June 24th that were approved and ordered in the amount of $400,000, which was an advance on our Chapter 70 money, which has come through from the state, and $176,000, I don't remember the rest, 803? 176,000 something, which is for our E-rate, so that we can actually pay for our internet service.
Right.
That bill is due, and once again, we're late paying the internet service.
Right. And we're doing it the way the city has asked us to
That's
do
the
it,
way
so
they
there
asked
should
us to do
be
it.
no reason for us not to have that.
That appropriation would not be needed if we were using the discount method. They asked us to use the other method, which requires that appropriation, so they need to follow through.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions?
Is there a penalty for being late?
They could cut off our internet.
I'm asking a simple question.
I'm giving you a simple answer.
I know, but that needs to be put in the letter, whatever letter we're sending them, to remind them that if it doesn't get paid, we're gonna have the internet shut off.
Consequences.
There is a consequence of not paying what we're supposed to be paying. We did it, we danced through the hoops, we did what they asked, and now all of a sudden, they're kicking back again.
Okay, so we have a
Please.
motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, anything else, Mike? Having to do with the budget?
I think that's,
Okay, so then we move on to readings of policies, and this would be our first reading.
First reading. So I will make a motion that the committee vote to approve the first reading of the following policies under file JH, EB, EBA, EBCB, EBCBA, EBCBA, EBCC, ECF, EBCE, EC, ECA, and ECAB.
Sounds like you just took a standardized test.
I know. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All right, any questions, comments?
I just, a comment, I guess. Superintendent, is it possible that we could, a lot of talk tonight has centered around our absentee rate and improving that. Is there any way for us to hear or have a report given to us on how exactly the schools do their attendance? Like, I'm not sure how elementary does it versus middle school versus high school. And I know my
How
days
it's
at the high school,
recorded?
it's different. Like how it's recorded, how it's handled, what we do about truancies, what we do about,
So that, I think that's probably a good question, but not necessarily pertinent to the approval of the
right,
policy.
I agree.
So
agree,
if
but,
you can just
we
sort
had
of hold
that
up, because that's
discussion.
not really, right, but that's not about the policy, she's
Right,
talking
but we
about
had
something
that,
else.
we had that discussion.
Oh,
you
for
remember?
the yes,
Yeah.
and the policy subcommittee. So, all right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries for those policies. And Nona, you're making a request separate from the policies to have a little bit more information on how,
on how things are handled, how
at the
attendance
different
is
grade
handled.
levels.
Yes.
all right, thank you. So then we're going to move on to new and old business.
I just have one thing from old business. At our previous meeting, the mayor questioned what are capital expenses and what are not.
Yeah.
So I've done some research in the meantime. They've given us guidance on that in the chart of accounts. I sent everybody an electronic copy of that to Jay. We may want to look at that in the future. In any case, Desi's made it fairly clear that there's a distinction between instructional equipment and non-instructional equipment. So we can spend $100,000 on projectors in classrooms, that's instructional equipment, that would count as net school spending. But new phone system for a school, that's a capital, that counts as, that does not count towards net school
Right,
spending.
and new boilers and
New
windows
boilers,
and
new
HVAC
water pumps.
systems, all that kind of stuff.
They make a
It's capital.
distinction between replacing things and maintaining them. They make a distinction between, if it's non-instructional equipment, anything over $5,000, it's not count towards net school spending, it's a capital expense.
Right, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. Anybody else have anything under new or old business? I was just going to mention we have, of course, the conference coming up, which Sue's going to be honored at. And I believe that's at a dinner Friday night. So, Chris, I'd like to extend my stay so that I can go and support Sue. And I would encourage anybody else who, even if you can't be there for the conference, but who could, or would like to be able to be there for the dinner to honor Sue, to please let Chris know that so she can book everything. So, okay. And I know Ron will be there here at 6. So, any other old new business?
Well,
No?
just, Lorraine, help me to understand. You gave us a thing to update my question about the Sims data, but I'm still not understanding that CTE listed 146 seniors, graduated 121 seniors, had one senior that was a certificate of attainment. So there was 21 kids that aren't accounted for, but in your report back to us, the 21 kids they should have been showing up someplace. If they're part of the Chapter 74 students,
So that's the distinction. They are not Chapter 74 students.
okay,
The total that the school included, the Chapter 74, and then the 21 students who are part of our project Lead the Way, they're counted on the CTE side, but that is not a recognized Chapter 74 program. So they are seniors with us. They received a diploma from Leominster High School CTEI, but they are not in Chapter 74 approved programs.
so they're not even listed as high school. It's not included in the high school numbers. Shouldn't they have been included?
They're coded with CTEI because of the number of credits they take for the project Lead the Way. And that's how we broke them out as the SIMS reporting data. Asked us to break them out that way because they are at that school for their electronics program, or pre-engineering program.
But they're not included in your graduating numbers of either school.
They're included in the graduating numbers. There was a number 146 that includes that 21.
Right.
The others are Chapter 74. They are graduates, but not Chapter 74 graduates.
So they're counted in CTEI, but not under the Chapter 74.
Yeah, but I'm still having trouble with that on those 21 kids are not accounted in graduation figures of either school.
At the very bottom of Schedule 9, or that Report 9, you'll see there are 146. And that 146 includes the 21 non-Chapter 74, the one certificate, and then the rest of them were Chapter 74 students.
Okay, I still,
So they are counted, but they count them differently for two different purposes.
yeah, but the number on the 14A report
Okay.
doesn't reflect that 21.
I'm going to ask Nona that I then get back to you about that one. I had Report 9 already to figure out. And so 14, I certainly will look at 14 and make sure that we clarify that so that we do all understand that.
Okay.
And sometimes it is particular as to how the state asks us to break out some of these reports. But that 21 are students who were in our Project Lead the Way program.
Right.
But I'll get more clarification for Report
Which
14.
seems that it should have been included in the high school graduation rate versus the CTE graduation rate.
And so Report 9 tells us about the number of students. It isn't just about the graduation rate for those students.
Right.
But I certainly will review 14 and we'll make sure that we get you more clarification.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else under old or new business? Okay, having nothing, we're going to move into executive session. Nona, would you like to make the motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session under Chapter 39 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and we will be returning.
And we have a few motions before us. We're very excited to have worked out contracts with both the tutors and the paras, and it's my understanding that they were a pleasure to deal with, and we really appreciate the partnership in coming to consensus on their contract. So if Nona, you would like to make a motion. You don't know what?
I wasn't involved with it.
Oh, you weren't involved with pairs? I'm sorry, tutors, I thought you were. So Superintendent, if you can give us the particulars, and then I will have one of my esteemed colleagues make a motion.
Sure. I would be excited to have the paraprofessionals over the next 3 years. They've asked for a 1%, 1%, and 2%. We are going to eliminate step 1 and add a step 8 for the current FY20 school year. For FY21, we will eliminate steps 1 and 2 to add step 9. For FY '22, we will eliminate steps 1, 2, and 3, which is the current step 4, and we will be holding and adding no further lanes.
So, in clarification, at the end of that process, they will have 5 lanes.
They will have 5
Altogether.
Yes.
And no one will be paid less than minimum wage.
No.
Right.
And that was our goal. And they were very amenable and great to work with.
So I'll have to
Okay.
make a motion that we approve that.
I'll second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you, Harris.
Thank you. Tutors, same. Worked very hard with us. They were very diligent. They asked for a COLA for FY '20 of 1%, COLA for FY '21 of 1%, and a COLA for FY '22 2%. Currently, at the top step, we added a step 6 for current tutor employees only, and we have a salary table change for all new employees. After ratification, it will be a new 10-step table. So I ask that you approve this.
We have a motion, please?
To approve that.
Second? All right, any comments, questions? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So our next contract was the superintendent's contract. Nona?
I'd like to recommend that we approve Paula for a 2% raise for 3 years that started in FY18. We discovered the only other addition to it would be to put back in the contract language that had mysteriously disappeared, that talked about a good performance review, earning credit, earning a monetary value for that. So we're going to put that back in. Cody and I had several discussions with Paula about this, and things were offered and things were deleted, and I think we arrived at this, which I think is
So I think there's a little clarification, though. We're proposing that as of July 1st of this year, you're receiving the 2%, equivalent to a 2%, because we can't pay you out of 19 that's already closed.
Yep.
So as of July 1st, you'll get the equivalent of a 2% raise you would have gotten. You're going to get a lump sum.
Okay.
Because we can't pay you that for something we've already spent and closed out. And then this fiscal year and next fiscal year would be 2% and 2%.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Thank
So
you.
that's the only clarification. Do I have a second?
a second.
Any questions, thoughts, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. No, I appreciate
You
it.
have done, an amazing job and worked very hard, and we are appreciative of all your efforts. And I think, we are making progress both academically for students, working in partnership with teachers and other staffing throughout the school district. So thank you very much.
And I appreciate the feedback each of you gives me on a regular basis. That's the only way we're going to grow this process. So I appreciate that. And your support has been tremendous. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else has anything else? We'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
All right, second. All right, all those in favor, say goodbye.